Alright, what's going on, everybody? Today, we are going over League of Legends settings. Both your setup, like, before you get in the game, and your in-game settings, right, are both important, and can actually make a pretty decent difference in your ability to climb, right? Min-maxing your setup and also your in-game settings will just make you a better player, and it's important. Everyone does it. So, going over, like, hardware stuff, I would recommend, if you can, having a PC that can get League at like 144 FPS, right? Also, make sure you're playing on a PC and not a laptop if you do want to be the best possible at this game. Don't be a laptop gamer. I was a laptop gamer at one point. You can make it work. I know people that are Challenger that play on laptops, but like, listen, man, you're going to be a lot better at a desk setup. Make sure you have plenty of room for your mouse and your keyboard and all that shit. And then finally, your monitor, right? I use a 240 hertz monitor and I play the game at 144 FPS. Yeah, if you can, you have the money to spend and your PC is good enough, getting a 144 or 240 hertz monitor is really fucking good for League. Don't go above 240 for League because the game just breaks. 240 is like the upper cap. But yeah, definitely do that. It's worth it. You'll get a lot better at the game. But none of that is like necessary. There's people that are Challenger who play on 60 FPS on a laptop. So yeah, let's get into these settings. The first thing I want to cover is your mouse settings. So if you go to mouse and scroll on here to additional mouse options, go to pointer options and put pointer speed in the middle here, right between slow and fast, the default, and then uncheck enhanced pointer precision. Basically what we want to do is we want to set Windows and League client sensitivity to the default and then change our DPI. If you're curious about my DPI, I play on 800, which is really low, but I don't know, I've always played on low DPI. Some pros use low DPI, some use really fucking high. Yeah, anything works for League, to be honest. I just think low makes me more precise, which I enjoy. Next thing is display settings. So if you just type display and hit enter, go down to advanced display settings. And like I said, this is where you change your refresh rate, right? So set it to the highest that your monitor can do. I can do 240. Yours might be 144. Some of you might be like 85. Whatever it is, just set it to the highest. Highest is best. And then the final thing I want to show you guys is if you go in here and you go to this PC and you go to Riot Games, League of Legends, scroll down to config, and in config, you'll see persisted settings. Do this after this video, okay? Basically what this does, if you go to properties and you click read only, it makes it so that your settings will never change from game to game, right? Like since I have this checked right now, I could go into a game, I can make my map and everything big as fuck. After that game ends and I go into another game, it'll be back to my default. That's why it's called persisted settings, right? It'll be back to my default, and since you set it to read only, nothing gets changed. This also makes it so that your settings will be universal and the same across all accounts that you might play on, which is nice, right? Like if you play on a friend's account or something, you don't want to be using their settings and you don't want to be changing their account settings, so you just use persisted and it makes it nice and easy. So yeah, the one downside to this, the one caveat is that every time you actually do want to make a change, you're gonna have to come in here before, uncheck this, and then, or during the game, uncheck this, and then change the setting, and then after, check this again. That's the only downside to it, but I think this is a good thing to do. Most good players do this, so yeah. That's pretty much it for the computer stuff, like, outside the game. So, yeah, the one other thing I could think of is, like, your network. There's, like, I think it's called, like, killer network or something like that, kill lag. Something like that. There's little tools out there that you can use that will like reduce your ping. I've never used any of them, but I've heard anecdotally that they do work, so might be worth a try if you have the money. But obviously, they can be kind of expensive to use, and no one knows if they actually fucking work or not. I mean, I don't know if they work anyway. So, yeah, that's all the out-of-game stuff. I'll see you guys in-game. Alright, guys, so the in-game part of this, yeah, we'll just run through them. Now, you don't need to emulate all my settings exactly if you don't want to. Like, there's some stuff, and I'll get to that, that I do that Might not be optimal for you, or you might not like, but this is just my settings as a challenger player, 1K LP player. So, getting into it, I haven't changed anything like QWER, flash on D, teleport on F, or summoner spells on D and F, right? I just use numbers for my item actives, so like 3 for this Zanya's here, like I use 4 for wards. Like I don't change anything like that, right? If we go into hotkeys, I like to quick cast all, and I also like to uncheck both of these, okay? Do not check this where like you press Q and it goes, but it like shows you the radius as you press it. It's just useless, guys. Don't do this. I see a lot of people that do this. I don't know why. Like, just don't. Okay, no high elo player plays with that on. Almost none of them play with that on. Okay, so uncheck that. Moving down into other hotkey shit, there's really not much that I've changed from the default. The only thing I can think of is what's it called? The fuck, where is it? The enemy vision ping I have on H, and then also where is it? It's in gameplay somewhere here. Dude, am I stupid? Where the fuck is toggle champions only? Hold on, give me a sec. Okay, target champs only. Yeah, I have this set to space. You should set this to something, right? It doesn't have to be spacebar. I used to use X, but I found that pressing that was harder than pressing space. It's not have it on space, right? This is a really important thing because it'll make it so that you can't auto minions or anything else, right? And where this really comes into play is tower dives, right? If I spawn a bot behind this, you can see I can easily hit them, right? But if I have target champs only on, it's all of a sudden becomes a lot harder, right? Like I might hit the tower, I might, you know, hit minions. It's hard, right? Whereas you can just do target champs only, and then it's nice and easy to just select the person behind the tower. So, really important thing to keep in mind. And I like setting it to a toggle, right? I believe that is not in here. I believe that's somewhere else. But yeah, these are the only hotkeys I changed personally, right? It's just setting target champs only, and also the enemy has vision thing. I just use H for that, right? Like enemy has vision here. Or if you want to flame someone, just spam ping the fuck out of them with this. But anyway, going over to video. I like using borderless. The reason I do this is because as a streamer, it's nice for me to be able to alt-tab really fast. I find when I use full screen and I try alt-tabbing, shit just like will break sometimes or like have issues. I don't know. So I use borderless. You can use full screen though. I think you will get more frames out of doing that. I like colorblind mode. Some people don't, right? You don't use colorblind mode and your clicks are green and your health bar is green as well. But I like the yellow and the blue. I don't know, it's just personal preference. I think it looks cooler. So I do yellow and blue for colorblind mode. I like relative team colors. I think this looks disgusting when you don't do this. It basically makes it so that when you're on red side, your minions are red. I just don't fuck with it personally. I like to always have blue minions and always be against red. Turn off screen shake. For my video settings, I use very high on everything, and I turn shadows off. I think shadows just take away visibility. Like if we turn these on, it looks so much nicer. Like God, the game looks so much cleaner, but it does take away how much you can see. So that's why I keep them off, right? Turn that off. I do have anti-aliasing on. I turn off vertical sync because vertical sync makes your game feel like slightly delayed, in my opinion. And I cap my frames at 144. Now, 240 feels a lot smoother for me, right? But the problem is I don't get a consistent 240 when I stream. And this is a point I wanted to make is, guys, it's better to have a really consistent lower frame rate than to have high frames sometimes and then lower other times, right? Like when I play with 240 while streaming, I'll have 240 FPS and then I'll get in a team fight and it'll drop to like 160, 150. And you can feel the difference to the point where it's better for me to just play on flat 144 and never have that change in frame rate, right? So that's something important to keep in mind with frame rates. Moving on, sound doesn't fucking matter. I don't use music. I have music set to nothing. HUD. So Minimap, I like to have pretty big. I put my HUD to the smallest it can be. Because, I don't know, I just don't see a use for having it be super big. I guess it could be useful for seeing all your cooldowns correctly. That's something that could be useful with this, but I don't know. For the most part, I just keep it at 0. Yeah, going down, all of this shit doesn't really matter. It's kind of just personal preference. Screen flash on damage, I actually like because sometimes you'll be like looking with your camera on the map and you won't realize that you're getting hit. So screen flash on damage is pretty nice. One thing I guess I didn't fully cover in the settings is to lock and unlock camera when it comes to hotkeys. So I use Y. I use the default to lock and unlock. And I play my game locked camera. I mean, not the entire game, obviously. If you guys watch me, you'll see that I toggle it on and off often, right? I very often toggle on and off with Y, which I think is the best way to play. I think that trading is easier when you're on locked camera than unlocked camera. I think it's way harder to trade like this, especially when it comes to like being able to know the radius of your abilities, right? Like seeing that I can Q to this just looks wrong. Yeah, I feel like I should be able to Q further, but then when you lock it, it makes sense again, right? And so that's why I personally do all my trading and laning with locked camera for the most part. And then during team fights, I'll unlock when I need to, but it's kind of an as needed basis. I don't think that you need to like fully learn the game on unlocked camera. I think you'll waste a lot of energy moving your camera around the whole time while you're playing. Like, it's possible, and I could definitely do it, but I don't think it's necessary. Like, if you've ever gotten coaching and someone's told you, like, you have to play on unlocked, don't listen to them. You can totally play unlocked. A lot of pros and a lot of high elo players will trade in lane on locked camera. And I know a lot of people will unlock and then they'll hold spacebar to keep it locked. I just don't like doing that. I don't like holding a key the entire time I'm playing. It just feels gross. So I don't do it. But yeah, you can do that as well. Overall, though, I would recommend, like, locked camera is pretty good for trading, in my opinion, versus playing on unlocked. I think locked is pretty solid. So, yep, that's just camera shit. Other than that, you know, unlocking the move around the map. You can drag here to look at shit faster. I'm sure most of you guys know this already, but you can drag on the minimap to look around the map faster. Moving on to some more interface shit. The one thing I would tell you guys to do here, or a few things. One, spell costs. Make sure you check this. You want to see your spell costs. I recommend doing seconds instead of minutes and seconds. Up to you, though. It's no biggie. If you want this cool cursor, you can do enable legacy cursor. Otherwise, you can do the more modern one. I don't know. I fuck with the legacy one. It just looks cool. It gives me that OG feeling from back in the day. And the last thing I want you to make sure you check is this experience thing. It's important to have this experience thing checked in the interface because it tells you when you get XP, right? So when you're like far away, you see how I just got plus 62 XP there, right? This is useful for when you're trying to like make sure you're in range of minions when maybe the enemy has a freeze or something like that, right? Like you want to be close enough. Like this isn't close enough, so I won't get XP, right? So really useful thing. Make sure you check this and have it on. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the interface stuff. Moving on to game, make sure all your speeds are set to 50 like we talked about, same as the Windows mouse speed shit. Make sure that's just set to 50. I don't use smooth camera, I don't know what that is. Move camera on revive. I actually don't like this, but it looks like I forgot to turn it off at some point. I like per side offset. I don't like fixed offset where you're like dead in the middle. I don't know. I think the per side offset is pretty good for locked camera. I think this looks nice. I just like it. Yeah, gameplay, make sure auto attack is off. And then treat target champions only as a toggle. Make sure this is on. Unless you want to hold it. But I like just toggling it. Like I hit spacebar once. And then I can only target champions. Unhit it. And then I can target minions again. Right? So, that's what I like doing. Yeah, the rest of this is pretty self-explanatory. There's not too much more to go over here. And the last thing you'll see me do, which people ask me about a lot, is, and this is something you'll see a lot of pro players do as well, is A-clicking right? So A-click works in two ways. There's two ways that this will work. The first is you can A-click next to something and you'll hit whatever's closest to you, right? So you'll see, like, I can be standing here and I'll A-click, and if there's something close to me, I will go hit it, right? Has to be an enemy though, like it won't work on Scuttle Crab, for example, right? So that's one thing. One usage of this can be like when you're kiting away from like jungle camps or whatever, right? And you don't want to like be constantly clicking like this. You can just like A-click and it'll hit whatever's nearest to you. But what I use A-click for, and what you'll see a lot of people use it for, is they literally just use it to auto attack, right? And this basically, it splits up your mouse into left click, right click, which, okay, that sounds retarded, Paul. Basically, your right click is movement, and then your left click is attacking, right? That's kind of what this does, and you'll see that a lot of pro players do this, right? They will, like, think of it as like an intentional attack, right? Instead of like having to use your right click for everything, you use your left click for attacking, right? And use your right click for moving. So you'll see I A-click, move, A-click, move, A-click, move, A-click, move, A-click, move, right? And this is what a lot of high elo and professional players do, right? It's just like an intentional auto attack. I don't remember if I ever like consciously decided to start doing this, or if one day I just kind of did. I'm pretty sure like one day I kind of just did. I just started doing this. It's kind of just something that you get as you play the game more and more. But yeah, really cool mechanic. It's not necessary. People always ask me about it. I always tell them it's not necessary to do. It's just, it will make you better in the long run. It actually is like a good thing to learn. But if you're really low elo, like, it's not worth practicing that. This is something that's worth it when you're like emerald, diamond-ish. Can be worth doing, or maybe even a little lower than that. Once you have a really good grasp on like basic mechanics of the game, then this can be worth doing, right? But until then, I wouldn't focus on it. There's probably other things you can put your time into that will have way higher returns. But yeah, that pretty much does it for the game settings part. The last thing I want to talk about is mouse movement. And so I'm gonna actually move my camera, so I'll see you guys in one sec. Alright, so as you can see, this is how I hold my mouse. It's kind of like a claw grip, and I think this is one of the reasons why I'm so mechanical and good at movement, is from this mouse positioning, right? So I do not flat hand and like move my arm to move the mouse, okay? I think this is really inefficient. It's easier and it requires like less work, but I think like this just feels disgusting. I don't know. So instead I do this claw grip and I move the mouse with my thumb and my ring and pinky finger like this. And then obviously I use these two fingers to click, right? And this basically just lets you like really move back and forth fast, right? Like you can really move the mouse back and forth really easily, which is what I do. It's why like you'll see me click like this a lot, and I don't know, it's just something I do. It's how I play, right? I don't like holding the mouse like this flat-handed, like, I don't know, it just feels like shit. So I would recommend if you do want to like be super mechanical, learn to hold the mouse like this. I'm pretty sure this is how Faker holds the mouse as well. It is pretty good. Hold on, let me set this back up. I think this should be good. But yeah, pretty good. If you're wondering, my mouse and keyboard, I use a Wooting ADHE, is how you spell that. And my mouse is a Razer Death Adder B3. And yeah, that pretty much wraps this up. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but I don't think there is. So yeah, other than that, guys, most mechanical stuff will just kind of come to you as you play, right? Like you kind of just got to play this game a lot to get really good at it. I've been playing this game for over 10 years, so take with that what you will, or whatever the fuck the saying is. Listen, I've had a fever for like 4 days. This is probably one of my more disorganized videos, but I got asked to make it, and yeah, I figured I should make this one. So if you watched and you enjoyed and you learned something, I appreciate it. Thank you for watching, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Deuces.